semester, I spent the whole semester digging into this idea of environmental justice. And as I did so, I also asked myself why. What was it about this issue that got my chest tightening and my blood boiling? And there are a couple ways I could answer that question, but one of them is to say that I'm originally from Utah. And when I try to explain what that means to people beyond Mormon culture and weird liquor laws, I tell them that it means that I carry mountains in my heart and that I've got red rock running through my veins. And people get a little weirded out. Because that's a weird thing to say, I get it. Because at some point we decided that the environment is the realm of scientists and that justice is a cognitive activity. But what I want to challenge all of us to do this year is to think of environmental justice as part of all of the work that we do, because it starts here, in our own self-contained ecosystems. The hurting and the healing that we do here, I think, is not that different than the hurting and healing we do at the level of our global climate. It's about the harmful lessons that we imprint about race, class, gender, bodies, power, you name it, and the natural brilliance that that silences. So let's start with those harmful lessons for a minute. So, at the age of not yet 3, my mother, acquiescing to my desperate pleas, put me in ballet lessons. So here's tiny Amanda in her leotard and tutu, just real freaking excited about becoming a ballerina. Okay, so cut to me at 6 years old, and my teacher tells me that I have to be so perfectly turned out, so two-dimensional, that I could fit inside a toaster without getting burned. As if there's something so searing about the idea of a woman who takes up space in the world. And then cut to me in middle school, and I read that George Balanchine, the father of American ballet, once said that a ballerina should be as white as the inside of an apple. And while I knew enough at that point to know how wrong that was, I still put an extra layer of sunscreen on that summer, just in case. And then the one that's really sticking with me is that when I was in high school, I had this overuse injury in my feet. And they would get so swollen and so painful in rehearsal that I'd have to take my pointe shoes off, put my coat on over my tights, and go stand in a pile of snow in the parking lot until the swelling went down and my feet were numb enough to continue dancing. Which is insane. Right, like that's just batshit right there. Not just because the snow was this suspicious shade of gray, and not just because from an exercise physiology point of view, that's a total no-no, but because that lesson stuck with me. That you leave the room to go numb pain so that you can continue to perform perfection when you come back in. So I realize that not everyone in the room grew up in a ballet studio, but your bodies have their own lessons stored there. They show up in how you breathe, they show up in your posture, they show up in how you move through space and relate to other bodies. But you know what else is there? This natural brilliance, this sort of inborn intelligence that I think we sometimes forget, but we never lose. And it's sometimes easier to see that outside of ourselves first. So if you've ever watched a baby learning how to walk, you know that when they fall, they don't flail, they don't grab onto things, they don't point fingers or try to take somebody else down with them. No, they fold where they're most mobile, and they aim for nature's crash pads, right? And you see it in the natural world too. You see geese that know how to seamlessly rotate leadership of the V. You see in the same 10 feet of field, stinging nettle, which gives you a nasty rash, and lamb's ear, which soothes it. And you see in the aspen trees that I grew up around as a kid, that know that their height is directly connected to their ability to root together. So I want to leave you with 2 points today, one of which has already been said more beautifully than I could ever say it. This is Shane Bernardo, who is a Detroit-based food justice activist. And he says, "I've found that our immediate environments are mirrors for the spiritual turmoil inside of us. By reclaiming our relationship with the earth, we can start healing ourselves and our communities." So this practice of stewardship that he's talking about, of restoring what's been harmed and responsibly living into our natural resources, it starts here. And then it goes here, and then it goes out there. And that's why I want us to think of environmental justice as part of all of the work that we do, because it's not the realm of scientists, it's the realm of us. Which brings me to my second point, which is that in order for us to be truly in pursuit of justice, no matter what form that takes, we have to make more space for our bodies in this work. Because if you want to talk about building a movement, about making space, taking a stand, this is what we're talking about. So whether your body is a dancing one, or a running one, or a singing, or painting, or soon just really furiously typing one, get out of its way. It is way more intelligent than you give it credit. In fact, if I had gotten out of my own body's way during this talk, it might have looked a little different. And you might have seen it start to happen. Because my body knows this stuff in a way that my words are still catching up with. And if I had gotten out of my own way, I might have given all of us a chance to better live into these moving bodies that carry our wild, justice-seeking hearts. Thanks.